All right, guys, welcome. Welcome to the latest episode of the Heat Locker. A little bit different today. As you can see, first of all, we're going to film our podcast. So you'll get an opportunity to, for those that enjoy watching watching these on YouTube, we're going to try and reach out and make it a little easier for you guys. Also, you'll notice we're not in the sauna. Normally we're sitting back at the gym at Sydney West Martial Arts in the sauna. And so far, we're about, 11 or so episodes deep. We have been, people have been at the academy and we jump in the sauna and we have a chat. Today's a little different. Today is just me. Today's going to be testing our gear here in New York City. So I'm actually currently sitting in my hotel room. So if this is a video that you've stumbled across, this is as little amount of clothing as I'm going to have on, okay? So if you're expecting me to lose it through this, I'm sorry, guys. I'm sorry to disappoint you. But this is what we're going to have to deal with today. But yeah, all jokes aside, I'm in my hotel room and I'm in New York City and I'm over here doing some training. I'm training with the best guys in the world at Renzo Gracie Academy and at Sarah BJJ. And I just thought, what a great time I've got a spare bit of time. Finished training for the day, and I thought I'll have a chat to you guys and document some of this trip. So also it's going to be, we're going to have an opportunity, hopefully I'm going to be doing one of these with Jason Rao later in the week. So this will be also probably a good tester for chatting to Jason later on, how this gear works. I've bought it literally across the whole entire world to utilize it. So hopefully all the setup is good. Hopefully you guys can hear me well and see me well. And if this is a good thing and people are enjoying it on YouTube, make sure you share it and like it and all that sort of business as well. We've got a little sponsor of the podcast. Again, guys, we're not the Joe Rogan Experience, but we are supported by Endless Combat. They're an Australian brand who makes fantastic clothing for training. They make rash guard shorts. In particular, they make the Sydney West Martial Arts shorts that we all use. They've got our logo on them. They're probably the best training shorts that I've had. So jump on their website, endlesscombat.com.au. Shorts.au, I always kind of get that wrong. And check out their gear. If you do happen to buy something, if you use the promo code HEATLOCKER10, you'll get a 10% discount. So if you jump on there and like some of their stuff, save some money. So it's Saturday afternoon. It's about 4. I haven't got my phone with me because I'm recording, but it's about 4:30. And I've been here for a week now, and I'm just going to go through sort of what's been happening, talk about New York a little, talk about some of the things with traveling abroad and training abroad, I should say. And, hopefully you guys find it interesting. If you see me grabbing my back a bit, I'm touch wood, predominantly very good as far as injury is concerned. Very rarely do I break down. Very rarely do I have too many issues, but my bloody lower back today got sort of tweaked and it's really tight and uncomfortable. So I'm going to try my best to sort of sit up straight. But if you see me moving around, it's due to that. So I've organised this trip to Manhattan. It's difficult because Manhattan is probably the most expensive place in the world that you can stay. And yes, you don't have to stay in Manhattan to train in Manhattan. But I didn't want to be on trains all the time. Okay, so most of the training that I've been doing has been at Renzo Gracie Academy. And as probably some of you know, that's in Manhattan. It's on 30th. It's between 7th and 8th Avenue on 30th, which is right in the middle of Midtown. And the last thing I wanted to be doing even was being, in a hotel that was 10, 20, 30 blocks away. So if you look, let me get my bearings. So out behind my window here, is I'm sure that's the Hudson River, but that's sort of looking over onto 9th Avenue and then further over. So this direction behind the camera there, if you go over 2 streets, takes you onto 7th. So if you go down 7th about 3 blocks past Madison Square Garden, MSG, and Penn Station, the big station, you go just past that, like literally 3 blocks, then there's Renzo's. So I'm a 5-minute walk from the academy. I'm not even having a shower there. Like I'm literally coming back here for showers. So I cannot explain how good that has been. The issue is that you obviously pay for that convenience. So I'm staying at a hotel called the New Yorker, and I did a whole shitload of internet searching and looking at hotels to try and find the right place, obviously at the right price also. If you're looking at doing it like most jiu-jitsu players are on an absolute shoestring budget, you're probably going to find yourself in a hostel somewhere or on an Airbnb on someone's couch. But that just wasn't going to work for me. I definitely needed my own space, needed my own bathroom, somewhere to shower, and somewhere that was mine, somewhere I could lock up and leave my things. And there was a lot of things that I was considering there. Had to be close to the academy. Had to have a restaurant so I can actually eat food because they're getting back at all different times of the night. And so there was a few things that I was looking at. And this place has been fantastic. So I would highly recommend it. Anyone that wants to stay in town. And I mean, even if you weren't training jiu-jitsu, if you were just looking for somewhere to stay, this place is probably moderately priced. I'd probably say it's in the middle of the price bracket. But it's been great. My room's good. It gets cleaned. See, that's the thing with having a hotel room. Your room is cleaned every day. They give you fresh towels. Just all those little luxuries start to make a difference, especially when I'm here for 14 days on the actual floor. So, I didn't want to be living out of a suitcase on someone's lounge. So that's just me. But if you're a poor jiu-jitsu kid that just wants to come and train here, you may have to couch surf. So it's up to you. It's an individual choice, obviously. But this place has been fantastic. So the New Yorker, check that out. It's on 8th Avenue, 8th and 34th, I think it is. And Henzo's is on 30th, so you're 4 blocks from Henzo's. Anyway, guys, so I got in on Saturday a week ago, as most Australians will appreciate. Jet lag's tough for us. Traveling, what do they say? Traveling east is the more difficult direction to travel as far as jet lag is concerned. So traveling from Sydney to LA and then LA over to New York is the sort of worst for jet lag. We're literally turned around. So right now in Australia, people are starting to wake up. It's kind of like 6 or 7 a.m. in the morning. But I've just been awake all day. So the first few days of training were just absolutely horrendous. Like you're super sleepy and tired during the day when you need to perform. And then come nighttime when you need to be trying to get to sleep because you're exhausted from training, your body kind of is awake. Your circadian rhythm is just, inverse. It's flipped over. So it takes I think it probably took me until about, so today's Saturday, I think it took me till about Wednesday, Thursday, till I finally got some good sleep and kind of feel about right. So, consider the jet lag, guys. Don't think you're just going to rock up and just be ready to do your A game straight away. You're just not. The other thing to consider is it's summer here. Now, Australia, we have legitimate summers where it's 45 degrees every day. But Manhattan, it's like 30 degrees every day, but the humidity is horrendous. And obviously you then add that into these gyms, particularly like Henzo's, that's in a basement. There's very little airflow. Even Sarah's gym, there's very little airflow, no air conditioning. It's hot. Like the humidity heat has really knocked me around. So just be aware of all these type of things, guys. I mean, if you come here in winter, it's going to be snowing, so it's kind of tricky. The time before this, when I came here, I came in October. And to tell you the truth, the weather was not bad. It was quite moderate then. So I would maybe, if you're looking at probably that in-between summer and winter, maybe October. So it's currently, what are we in, July? Today's like the 7th of July. So I think 6th or 7th. 4, 3, 6. It's the 6th today. 6th of July. So it kind of seems to be middle-ish of their summer. But yeah, so hit the ground after a pretty big flight. You're looking at a flight time to LA of about 14 hours, and then you're looking across the country from LA to JFK of about 5, depending on the flight. My flight became 7 because we got delayed at this end, so we circled around. So at the end of a 20-odd hour trip, we did some circles in the air, which was, as you can imagine, was fun. And finally got here. So as far as getting from the airport, guys, there's trains you can catch. If you're not confident with the trains, which I'm kind of wasn't initially, I'm getting better now. Obviously, you can take a taxi. It's a flat rate. They can only charge you, I think it's about $60-odd. But just keep in mind, everything's American dollars. So you're sort of looking at, oh yeah, $60, $50. Oh yeah, that's $20. Oh, that's 10. But you forget that once we do the exchange rate, like 60 American dollars works out to be about approximately 100,000 Australian dollars. Our dollar is horrendous. It's like 67 cents or something stupid. So just keep in mind, you're swiping your card, but you're actually spending a lot more money than you maybe realize you are. So if you've got yourself a budget, just take into account that everything's kind of more expensive because you're not considering the transfer between Australian and US dollars. So I got in on Saturday night, tried to get myself to sleep, which was very difficult. Had a very disrupted sleep that night. And then the basic way I wanted to do it was that I wanted to mix my time between, obviously, Renzo Gracie Academy with John Danaher. John Danaher is the reason I came to New York. If it wasn't for Danaher, my game would be left behind, stuck just kind of trying to work things out and muddle through, which a lot of people are doing with their jiu-jitsu. He's given me a really clear understanding and direction to follow, and he's been inspirational and has changed my teaching, changed my academy, changed my game, everything. So, I have to give huge props to Danaher, who is just the mastermind when it comes to this stuff. So he's the reason I came to New York. He is he's a teacher who works at a Renzo Gracie Academy. So most people probably know that are listening to this, and he's a funny guy, John. Funny in many ways, but he's brilliant. He's absolutely brilliant. And he's produced some of the best submission grapplers in the world, and he turns these guys into really high-level grapplers really quickly. He is just, I'm not gonna go on for too long. Most of you probably have a good feel on what John's done, but he's what he can do in the training room and the way he explains jiu-jitsu to a guy who is effectively, jiu-jitsu is a career for me as a coach, and the way he does it is just on another level to anyone else that I've experienced. So he's worth the price of admission alone. So I came along to Renzo's. He teaches classes every day. What you got to remember is the classes he teaches, you must be a blue belt and above. And to tell you the truth, blue belt is definitely a minimum. I mean, the way he teaches this, the people you're going to roll with, there's some other blue belts in the room, but the way he, it's sort of high level stuff. You're not going to get baby long. So John's going to show a technique. There's not going to be a warm up and doing push-ups and jumping jacks. He's going to start class. He's going to walk over, and I'll talk about that more in a second. Actually, I won't go into that yet, but I would recommend definitely, if there's any white belts listening, take on what you can from Danaher. But I wouldn't be making a big trip to New York if you intend on training with John. And then the other half of my time is going to be split with Jason Rao, who effectively is other than Elvis, is my coach. Elvis Sinisic is obviously my coach who I got my black belt from. And then really I consider my other coach Jason Rao. And he is a phenom. He's a phenom competitor, but he's also a fantastic coach. And he's a black belt under Matt Serra, Matt Serra is actually a black belt under Renzo Gracie, who also happens to have given John Danaher his black belt. So it's kind of all connected there. So that was my game plan coming out here. Basically, the game plan for me was Monday, Wednesday, Friday at Renzo's. The reason they're particularly good days is because there's an AM session that starts at about 8 o'clock, and then there's a 12:30 session that starts at about probably more close to sort of 10 to 1. So you've got 2 sessions there, and that double is a killer. I've actually on the let me think. I think it was Wednesday. I actually did a triple. So I did the Danaher sessions morning and noon, and then went out to Long Island at night. And that was a lot. That was a lot of training, particularly mixed that with the heat, loss of water. By the end of that evening, I was just cramping. I just couldn't even operate anymore. Which generally I'm pretty good, but it was just different stuff. So so guys, Sunday I went out. So Sunday I got up. I wanted to get some work in, even though I was jet lagged. Went out and trained with Jason Rao. It was just an open mat. Just got a bit of a roll in, but the heat knocked me around horrendously. To get out to train with him from Manhattan, just to give you a lowdown, you have to get out to Long Island. So Long Island is kind of about an hour or so away from Manhattan. So you've got to jump on the train at Penn Station here. You've got to get on the Long Island Railroad, they call it, LIRR. So you're looking for those signs. You find the LIRR. You jump on a ticket. It costs about $20 round ticket US. So do the numbers on that Australian. And you're looking at about a 45-minute ride out to a town called Hicksville. And then you're looking at about a 10-minute taxi drive to get to the academy. So I get out there to the taxi, and the taxi guy's like, "Where you going?" I'm like, "Look, mate, I'm not sure the address." He goes, I said, "It's a jiu-jitsu academy." He's a jiu-jitsu academy. And this guy in like real strong sort of Long Island accent. He's like, Sarah Jiu-Jitsu? He's like, yeah, Sarah. He's like, "Oh, yeah, Matt Sarah." So Matt Sarah is known by everyone. He's a super cool dude. He's a UFC Hall of Famer, I think. I think Sarah's a UFC Hall of Famer. He was a former welterweight champ. He knocked out George St. Pierre. He's you name it in the UFC, he's done it. He's a Jiu-Jitsu world champion. He's a black belt and just a cool dude. And if you don't know who Matt Sarah is, he's a cool guy. Have a look at him. He actually has a show. He has a show that's on YouTube that he does with Dana White and Dean Thomas, and it's called, what's it called? Looking for a Fight? I think it's called Looking for a Fight. Yeah, check that out on YouTube. They're funny. They just get up to a bit of shenanigans. It's a bit of a playful show, but Matt Sarah's a great guy. So turns out the local taxi guys know him. They take me straight to the academy. Sunday, get a workout in there. Come back into the city. Just all that travel time was tough, but I had to set base somewhere, so it didn't make sense to set base out there in Long Island. So Monday morning was then the first session at Danaher's. Did the AM session, then did the PM session, and I think that was it for Monday. By then I was completely trashed, So to give you a bit of a feel on a Danaher session, you go down into the basement. So Henzo's, you come in at ground floor, you go in. There's some mat area off to the right-hand side where predominantly the Muay Thai classes are run. Then you can go upstairs, which is where there's a cage and more MMA stuff happens. And then go downstairs, down into what's known as the basement, the blue basement. And there's two mat areas. There's one area that's kind of sectioned off with a wall, and that's where more so the gi classes and the maybe the sort of lower level classes run. And then there's the bigger mat, and that's where John runs his class, and that's where a lot of the no-gi stuff that you see on the flow grappling and all that sort of stuff, that's where you see him training in there. So you come down into that room, there's probably already, if you come down at about 7-ish, there's probably already 50, 60 odd people there. Some guys are drilling, some guys are warming up. There's, you look over, you might see Gary Tonin there starting to warm up, Gordon Ryan, you might see John Danaher in the corner, it just depends. But the room's full of superstars. You get changed, come on the mat, and basically everyone just sits around and waits for Danaher to turn up. So on the timetable, the class, I think, is a 7:30 timetable class, but John turns up at about, it's just part of the routine, John turns up at about maybe 10 to 8, and he'll walk in, and if you didn't know John Danaher, you'd sort of wonder who this, 50-year-old looking gentleman who sort of has a bit of trouble walking, looks like, bad as a bad hip or bad leg or something, and dresses in like, old Adidas button-up tracksuit pants and a rash guard. Like this person doesn't look like anyone out of the ordinary, to tell you the truth. And he walks over to the corner of the room where he's got a little office, and he'll go in there and get himself organised. Comes out, he'll sit on the floor and warm his knees up and his ankles a little bit. He's got a lot of injuries, a lot of bad hip injuries and knee injuries. And then by now the room's buzzing. There's people everywhere. He's already got the squad guys kind of gather around him and just chatting to him. And when I say the squad, the Danaher Death Squad is what they became affectionately known as. That's his team of grapplers, and there's not like an official list of who's in the squad and who's not, but you kind of who's in there. And it's guys like Gordon Ryan, Gary Tonin, Jason Rao, Frank Rosenthal, Damien, I forget Damien's surname, Oliver Tarza, Ethan Krillenstein, Nikki Ryan, and it kind of like expands and there's a few guys more that are sort of hanging on. There's Craig Jones now. Realistically, Craig Jones is part of the Death Squad. He's there all the time. Craig's been there while I've been here. So they sit there and chat to Danaher, and then he'll hop up. He'll probably clap his hands twice, and then he'll walk over in a fairly quiet voice. He effectively will just start giving a rundown of what we're doing. Yep, today, guys, we're going to be working on half guard, and he assumes a position, and then he starts teaching. And so there's no like, all right, guys, bow in. There's no yelling and screaming. There's no running around. He starts teaching. If you were not paying attention, he would start teaching and you would be fucking around in the corner. Everyone comes over. They listen. He'll demonstrate and explain 3 times. And then he'll say, go to work. And that's it. He'll now sit against the wall. He'll watch the squad guys who will drill closest to him. I'm lucky enough that just due to my relationship with Jason, I've kind of had a chance to be closer to there or be drilling with squad guys. So it doesn't mean he'll give you any advice personally, but at least you're kind of in the closer vicinity. And you drill. So if you're a dude that's over in the back corner, some blue belt that's just rocked up, John Danaher, he's not going to speak to you. He's not going to come and explain to you how to do the technique. Don't put your hand up. Don't ask what to do. That's not how it works. So that's what I'm saying. Unless you're at a sort of higher level, you might not get out of it what you'd get out of a normal academy run class. Now, I would never run my classes like this because I'm running a class for everybody. But John is focusing on making the best grapplers in the world, and this is how he does it. And I cannot argue with the way he does it. He's shown time and again that the level he can produce is ridiculous. So if you don't like it, hey, that's tough shit basically. But it's very different to a normal jiu-jitsu class where you'd get babied along, and even as in an advanced class, still like I still walk around the advanced class and fault correct and do things like that. Doesn't happen. Danaher will fault correct some of the squad guys. He'll tell them, he might give them an extra little addition to do, or you can try this, and then he'll bring back in 2 or 3 more times. He'll add to the technique. Generally, he flows through a progression. And then he'll, he's never yelling. He's always just in a talking voice. And he'll go, all right, guys, we're going to get ready for live rolling. You've got about a minute or so to get your bit of water and get ready. And then it goes straight into positional training. And he chooses different positions to work on each time. It happens to be this week we've been focusing on the mount position. So you're doing rounds from the mount. Second round is was rounds from turtle position. So you've got someone in like the side back position. You've got to go work from there. Third round has been guard passing, where you're in a full guard and you've got to work on the passing. And then he threw in a couple of Jiu-Jitsu rounds where you're in an armbar position. After that, then he moves into the open session where you can start standing, and then from there it's generally 3 rounds of work there where it's full open grappling with everything. Again, do not expect to be babied. John's going to sit there and watch the squad guys. He's keeping an eye on the room. Don't get me wrong. He's not running unsafe. He's keeping an eye on the place. But he's not going to come over to a blue belt that's doing an arm lock incorrectly in the corner and explain to them what they should be doing. That's not how this works. Then the level of training is quite intense. The guys go hard. Like, these are professional jiu-jitsu players. And if they're not, they're guys who are trying to be, or they're guys who are professional mixed martial arts fighters, or guys who want to be professional mixed martial arts fighters. So as you can imagine, it's a serious room, and the level is very high. Now, that's not to say if you went and trained with a random blue belt in the corner that he's going to be of a high level. But I've been over with all the squad guys, so every round has been just a killer, an absolute killer. And luckily, spending the last year and a half working with Jason Rao and really improving my overall understanding of the game, particularly the game they're doing, it's kept me alive a bit. Now, don't get me wrong, they're still working me over. I consider myself to be a good black belt of a good level, not a world-class black belt, but maybe a rung or 2 below that. That's where I sort of plug myself in, and that's a fairly honest assessment of my skills. I think most black belts are more towards the lower end of that scale, much lower. And that's absolutely no shot at any of those guys. It's just how much you put into jiu-jitsu. A lot of the guys are just catching a class here and there. They've been doing it for a long time, but they're just catching a class here and there. Most of what they do is just repetitive. They're not learning a lot of new stuff. That's not the direction that I've taken with my training, and particularly I haven't done that because I wanted to improve as a coach and be able to improve my academy. So as everyone listening probably knows, I run Sydney West Martial Arts, and my goal has always been not just to run a successful academy, but to run an academy where I can be proud of the quality of my students and the quality of our jiu-jitsu. So every day for me is about obsessing of how I can do that better. And that's the reason I've come to New York. That's the reason I'm sitting here now. I'm on the other side of the world, away from my family, so I can do that. Not because I'm here to make myself better at jiu-jitsu. It's a bit unusual to explain this, not because I'm trying to become this world-class competitor. I think the better I can be physically, the more I can understand it as a coach. That's kind of where I'm at. It's very difficult with most physical things, I find, it's very difficult to only have a theoretical understanding. That's not to say that everybody who is physically good at jiu-jitsu is going to be a good coach. That's definitely not the case. It's been proven over and over. But for me, the way it works for me is if I can physically have an understanding of it and then understand the theory behind it, I can then coach other people, hopefully, to be able to emulate and replicate what we're doing. So that's how I work. And that's what this is all about. So that's what this whole trip's about. So anyway, coming back to the whole Danaher thing, there's no timer on the wall. You don't know how long the round's going for. John is keeping an eye on the clock, just in his looking up at the clock, but he's not. He's got no timer. He's just working. If he's watching, if he's watching two guys go and he's enjoying what he's seeing, he'll let it go. He actually let a match go, not when I was there, it was a few weeks ago, for 20 minutes because he enjoyed what he saw the guys doing and going at it. So he's a brilliant guy. He's an unusual guy, and his training methods are unorthodox, and they show and they pay off. So I try to emulate that as much as I can with our academy. And hopefully we'll be known eventually for producing high level grapplers over and over. So that's the way it's gone down, guys. So that was the Monday. The Tuesday I went out to Long Island, so I did the whole train trek. Went out to Long Island again and got a closed session in. So it was a session that Jason Rao does with a bunch of the other high level guys. So John Calistine, Nick Ronan, Jason Rao, a black belt from AOJ under the Mendez Bros. I forget his name now. He was there, a few other guys. So, just those guys alone, there's more than enough work and information there. Again, the heat, the jet lag, had a super tough session. Knocked me around big time. Stuck around out there, did Tuesday night, the advanced class at Tuesday night, the Jason runs. Again, did the class, did the rounds. That class had a bunch of fantastic guys in it, a bunch of the black belts from out at Sarah's who all move really well. Chris Weidman, the former middleweight champ. Matt Serra was there. Davishvili, what's his first name? He's a UFC fighter. He's a crazy guy. I did some rounds with him. So the quality of training's just been absolute madness. And so Saturday, by Wednesday morning, I'm already feeling absolutely trashed. But it's time to get back on doing the Danaher double. So Wednesday I did the AM session at Danaher's, the lunch session at Danaher's. Again, no rest there, grappling with guys like Oliver Tarza, all the really good guys there. And then of some reason I decided, not some reason, just because I want to keep getting, what I keep telling myself is I'm on the other side of the world, I'm in New York. It's an opportunity that doesn't come up a lot. I've got to make the most of every moment that I can. So I caught the train at Long Island and I did the night session out there. And I'm actually really happy that I did it because even though I was absolutely exhausted, my drilling partner was Chris Weidman. So that was pretty cool. I've always looked up to Chris. He's a really nice guy. He's generally a good guy, but also a fantastic fighter. He's a jiu-jitsu black belt. He actually made it to the ADCC finals when he was a purple belt. Obviously, he's an all-American wrestler, but so that experience alone was great. So got to drill with Chris, got a couple of rounds in with him. Super strong, tight. He's a big boy too, so he's been fighting at middleweight, but I don't know. I've got a feeling he's going up to light heavy because he was probably a solid 105 kilos. 6'2", big strong boy. So he was a handful, but super nice guy. He was even nice enough. He said to me after, he said, man, he goes, if we were the same size, well, you would have hammered me, but he's been kind to me. But we had a good back and forwards round. Put it that way, it was fun. Chris is also preparing for mixed martial arts. The way people grapple for mixed martial arts is very different to how people grapple just for pure submission grappling as well. So, there can be a certain amount of leveling. If we were doing any grappling with striking, he would just absolutely demolish me. So, I'll definitely steer clear of that. So then Thursday was the 4th of July here in America, and that's a big holiday here. So, but Danaher still ran the session. So we came in and did a lunchtime session with Danaher, and he pulled everyone in at the end of the class, and he said, a lot of you are professional jiu-jitsu players here. You're looking to be the best in the world. He said, just because Americans take the day off for Independence Day doesn't mean, or whatever, 4th of July, I don't know if it's Independence Day. It doesn't mean everyone else. A lot of your competitors are international and they don't care. They don't give a fuck. He said they're training their asses off back in their country. He said, so you don't get to have the day off. He said, those of you that have come along today, great job. Be proud of yourself. Now you can go and relax. But remember that just because it's a public holiday here doesn't mean anyone else cares about it. And I like that. And there's something everyone can apply listening to this. Just because it's a public holiday where you are doesn't mean the rest of the world's taking it off. So keep getting work in. So then Friday was, Saturday. Friday was another day I went to Danaher's. He ran a lunchtime session once again. It was a little quieter again because of the public holidays. I think a lot of the Americans take the long weekend off. And then that led us into today. I went out to Long Island, trained with Jason again. Again, just getting more just hot and humid, but gathering tons of really valuable information and just getting to watch Jason do rounds. So I tweaked my back in the very first round. And it's funny, I never have this happen, but I was tight yesterday. Yesterday I rolled, my drilling partner and the guy I rolled with for a couple of rounds was a young guy who's about my size. He's wanting to fight professional mixed martial arts. And he's a really high-level wrestler, so he's short and stocky. He's like a Chad Mendez looking guy. And he won the world championships as a junior, which is a phenomenal thing. He had a full sponsorship as a wrestler. He was getting paid like $60K a year just to be wrestling for one of these colleges here. And then he decided to dump all that because he wants to become a pro fighter. So he's got all these big gyms trying to sign him up. He's been brought in for people's camps in mixed martial arts that are fighting wrestlers. So this guy was a very talented, strong, young, fit athlete. And when we went for our rounds, I think he didn't pass my guard. Oh, he might have passed my guard once, but but my guard retention's been good, and he smashed me up and tipped me upside down and put a lot of pressure on me. And I think my back must have been tight, and I've been doing as good a job as I can of recovery, and I'll talk about that a little in a moment. But my back must have been tight, and then when I trained today, it's just literally just tweaked down on my lower back, and now it's tight and sore. So I'm hoping that, touch wood, if I can rest tonight. I'm going to sit and watch the UFC in a moment, so I'm actually going to finish up soon. I won't hold you guys too long. I'm hoping that come tomorrow I'm feeling a bit better, and I may even take tomorrow off. It'll be my first day off since I got here. I may take tomorrow off and rest that up, and then Monday back to work, and I'm going to pretty much emulate the same thing next week as far as the schedule is concerned. And then next Saturday I fly back out, and 24 hours on the plane. You also lose a day, whereas you gain a day coming here, you lose a day going back. So I actually leave here on the Saturday, but I get into Sydney on Monday, which is craziness. And I'm going to be looking forward to jumping back on the mats at Sydney West. I'm going to be in there on Monday night teaching classes, and I can't wait to keep pushing forward. As far as the recovery, guys, I've talked about what I do for recovery at Sydney West. I have a sauna there, and I sauna every day religiously after training, and it is, I think, one of the best ways to manage injuries or reduce injuries. I find that it's just fantastic, particularly if you stretch while you're in the sauna. I don't have that capability here. I just cannot find a sauna close by. It's just not convenient. So unfortunately, I'm just having to do stretching here in the room. I'm having to try and do the best I can, try and make sure I warm up well. But the other thing I'm doing is I'm using the Theragun. So the Theragun is like those massage guns. I think most of you probably know the Theragun. It's been really good. I find it's great for warming up my muscles. I'm using it in the mornings. I'm taking it to the sessions that I can, and mixture between that and the lacrosse ball, like working them into my back and sort of rolling on it. I'm finding that's working quite well. So, the back thing is just the actual bulk of work that I'm doing. I think it's just a lot, and I think my back must have been tight, and then it's just twisted. But generally, you need to keep on top of your recovery, guys, because you're not going to be able to keep doing this workload like I'm doing otherwise. So if you plan on coming out, you need to make sure you get on top of that. If you plan on finishing training and going out drinking beer, eating crap, you're not going to get this sort of workload in. If you're coming here to get better at jiu-jitsu, you're going to need to dedicate to that. If you're coming here on a holiday and you can do a little bit of jiu-jitsu, hey, do whatever you want. But if you're actually serious about coming over here and doing jiu-jitsu, make sure you look at it like that. And so you need to be able to have some downtime where you rest and recover, and things that are going to assist you in doing that as well. So I feel like there's probably things I'm going to miss out of this, but this wasn't meant to be too crazy. Again, I'm going to sit down and talk with Jason Rao soon. I'm going to try to hook up with Craig Jones. He said that he would do a podcast with me, so hopefully I can grab Craig. He just had his match against Tex Johnson and submitted Tex from the back with some beautiful stuff. A lot of stuff that gets practice all the time at Danaher, so nothing was overly shocking for the crew there, but for everyone else watching, hopefully appreciated some really beautiful jiu-jitsu. And he's actually got a match tomorrow against the big monster Anthony Johnson, the huge big ex MMA fighter, who's like 300 pounds and just huge, but not a jiu-jitsu player. So I think if Craig can get hold of him, he can most definitely submit him, but it's whether he can get hold of him. It's a 5-minute round in a cage and then 1 overtime. So it's a bit odd. I think weight probably goes down. Nothing happens in the 5 minutes, and then Craig probably submits him in overtime, or at least it rides him longer than Rumble can ride him, but it's going to be interesting. So now, guys, I'm gonna finish up here. I'm going to kick back and watch the UFC. And John Jones fights tonight. He's fighting Thiago Santos, so that should be fun. Hope you found this interesting. Again, we're going to chuck it up on our YouTube. Make sure you subscribe to us, Sydney West Martial Arts. Make sure you're following our Facebook page, Sydney West Martial Arts again. I've been trying to do little updates, sort of 5-10 minute live videos. They're all on there, and I've put them on YouTube as well. And follow our Instagram, guys. I'm updating with just little bits and stuff on the story. And again, we're Sydney West Martial Arts on there. So hope you enjoy it, guys. And I'll talk soon. Thank you to our sponsors, Endless Combat. And thank you to all my students, because, it's... me not being there for 2 weeks is tough. It's the coach sort of, especially the way I run the academy, I basically do everything. I do absolutely everything. I don't have a bunch of other people running everything. I shouldn't say that. I have other people assisting me with stuff, but I do majority of the things. So thank you to my students. Also, thank you very much to everyone who's helping while I'm away. So I've got a awesome bunch of students who assist me with coaching. So I've got guys who are my purple and brown belts who have come through with me. They teach our fundamentals classes. They're all jumping in and running all the extra sessions for me. I've got my blue and purple belt girls running the kids classes for me. Everyone's just chipping in back at home. I've got the boys running boxing, and I just really appreciate everybody for the assistance and making this possible. And hopefully then I can give back to you guys in continuing to provide an academy where we have really high-level training. And, I'm not just sitting on my ass and kind of teaching you guys an armbar that I learnt 30 years ago. So I really hope that, you understand that I'm here for everybody going forward and trying to make us better. But I do very much appreciate everybody, even the students that are just coming in and training while I'm away. I'll be back soon. I'll see you guys in a week, and I'm out.